Just because I poke fun of the stories and or fan art in my videos does not mean that the creators of these things deserve harassment. Cyberbullying is a lot more serious than you think, especially since it sometimes leads to self-harm and or suicide. Please pick your battles wisely. That means do not harass any of the creators of anything featured in my narrations. Thank you. Hey guys, what is up? This is Scott Cat bringing you another episode of Totally Overrated. In today's episode, I'll be reading a story called Normal Porn for Normal People. I will admit it has been months since I picked this out for my lineup. But I think the reason why I chose in the first place is because, well, it did have some great ideas and even a website to back it up. I think the execution of the text itself was a little flat. Will I change my mind after narrating this? Find out in today's episode of Totally Overrated. Now, without further ado, enjoy the show, guys. Everybody knows that if you surf the web long enough, you'll see some pretty sick shit. This is especially true if you intentionally dwell into the dark underbelly of the internet. I've seen quite a few things I don't care to admit to, but one thing that I'll always remember is a site called normalpornfornormalpeople.com. The first strange thing about the site was that I didn't find it by actually looking for it. It was emailed to me by someone I didn't know. The email was as follows. Hi there, found this site is very nice, thought you might like. Normalpornfornormalpeople.com. Pass it on for the good of mankind. Pretty standard issue chain letter, although the URL and the last remark really piqued my curiosity. I was having a very boring day when I got this, so I made sure my antivirus was working and then I clicked it. It was a very average, very generic looking site. It gave the impression that the creators just barely gave a shit about making it look professional. The author seemed to have a very tenuous grasp on English, and on the front page was a long, boring, and incoherent rant that I don't remember or have saved. The site had a strange tagline, which even today people haven't figured out the meaning of, which was Normal Porn for Normal People, a website dedicated to the eradication of abnormal sexuality. And from the sound of that, I wasn't sure whether I was here to watch porn or if I had stumbled onto some kind of eugenics program. But I was here now, and I was very, very curious to see what normal people get their rocks off to. So I scrolled down through the rant, and nothing. The page didn't seem to link to anywhere else, and I was about to leave when I noticed every word of the rant has its own hyperlink. So I clicked one of them and was sent to a white page with a very long list of links in the form of normal porn for normalpeople.com/random letters. So I stopped for a minute and asked myself if I really wanted to waste God knows how much time clicking random links that will likely give me a virus that will rape my computer. I figured I'd just try it for maybe 5 minutes just to see if anything came up. I clicked one of the links and was sent to another page. This page apparently had totally different URLs than the last one. I was just about to say, fuck this, when I clicked on third link and a video download came up. It was called peanut.avi. It was a 30-minute video of a man, a woman, and a dog in a kitchen. The woman would make a peanut butter sandwich, and the man would sit down for the dog to eat. This was all that happened for 30 minutes. It was obvious that the cameraman had to stop filming and wait until the dog was ready to eat again, and the dog seemed rather sick by the end of it. I know what you're thinking. What the hell does that have to do with porn? I have no clue. I've seen a little over 24 videos from the site, and the majority had no sexual activity at all. After watching peanut.avi, I went on a certain image board I frequent to play online show and tell, like I always do with weird shit like this, but someone had already made a thread about it, some guy who had received the same chain letter I did. The image board thread got lots of people with nothing better to do to dig through the site, and that's how I saw other videos. Most of those 24 videos were very uneventful and consisted of people talking to the cameraman in a room with nothing in it but a desk and a few chairs. I mean, literally nothing on the walls or in terms of furniture. The whole room had a very cold, sterile feel to it. The conversations were just idle banter about previous jobs or embarrassing childhood moments. I kept expecting some kind of discussion about what the people were filming or what the site was about, but of course, nothing. You would never know these videos had anything to do with porn if you saw it out of context. I will say one thing though. The people who appeared in these videos were quite attractive. However, the other videos that actually did feature content, which I suppose could be called sexual, is where things got weird. I'll give brief descriptions of the stranger videos. If you're really eaten up with curiosity, you can try to hunt them down on a torrent site. LitClean.avi, a 10-minute video filmed by a hidden camera in which we see a repairman working on a washing machine for the first 2 minutes. When it's fixed, the repairman talks to the owner briefly and then leaves. The owner checks to make sure the repairman is gone, and he begins to lick all over the top of the washing machine. This goes on for 7 minutes. Jimbo.avi, a 5-minute video of an obese mime performing his act. It was actually pretty funny, particularly one part where he pretends to pull up a chair, then pretends that it breaks because of his weight. In the last 30 seconds of the video, the camera cuts to static briefly and cuts back to the man sobbing quietly, still wearing mime outfit and makeup. Some kind of obscure fetish? Diana.avi, 4-minute video in which the cameraman talks to a woman in a room different from the interview room. This room looks like one you'd find in a normal person's house. Exactly where they are is never specified, as Diana only talks about her violin playing. She obviously plays her violin, but she keeps getting distracted by something. I didn't notice this until someone on the image board thread pointed out, but if you look at the mirror in the background, you could see a fat man in a chicken mask masturbating. Jessica.avi, another 4-minute cameraman video. This time he's outside a house talking to another young woman. They talk about canoe rides. The camera zooms out to reveal the city streets behind them occasionally. The strange thing is, no one so far has been able to identify where this street is. Guesses have ranged everywhere from Europe to Australia to the Philippines, but there's yet to be a match for the streets shown in the video. Tonguetie.avi 10-minute video. The first 5 minutes consist of an elderly woman making out with a mannequin. The video cuts out like it did in Jimbo.avi halfway through, and the scene is now a group of mannequins huddled together in a circle around the camera. The lights have been dimmed, and the elderly woman is nowhere to be seen. From this point on, there is no sound. Stumps.avi 5-minute long video where a man with no legs is attempting to breakdance on a DDR mat in what looks like the kitchen from peanut.avi, but much dirtier. There's a radio playing music unseen in the background, but it stops at the 4-minute mark when the man collapses on the mat in exhaustion. He breathes heavily and pleads with someone off-screen to let him rest. This off-screen person becomes terrifyingly enraged and yells at him to keep dancing, which he does. You can hear this off-screen person begin to scream as the video ends abruptly. Privacy.avi. The woman from Diana.avi is masturbating on a mattress in the interview room, while the man from Stumps.avi walks around on his hands while wearing some kind of goblin mask. The door in this room is always closed in other videos, but now it's open. In this video, the only light is in the room and the hallway is dark. Near the end of the video, you can see an animal quickly run through the hallway. And finally, the last video we uncovered, useless.avi. In this 18-minute video, a blonde woman from one of the previous interview videos is tied down to a mattress in the interview room. She attempts to scream, but her mouth is taped over. After 7 minutes, a man in a black suit and mask opens the door, but he does not enter. He holds the door open for the animal that was running in the hall in the previous video. It's revealed to be an adult chimpanzee, its hair shaved and its entire body painted red. It seemed to be starved and abused, with several wounds along its shoulders and back. When the chimp enters the room, the masked man closes the door behind it. The chimpanzee sniffs the air for a moment, it may have been blind, and notices the woman tied to the mattress. It goes into a frenzy and begins to maul her. The assault goes on for a grueling 7 minutes until the woman finally dies. The chimp eats flesh from her corpse for 4 minutes as the video ends. The thread exploded with activity after this video was uncovered, and people discussed it long into the night. When I came back to the image board the next day, I found out that the thread was deleted. I tried to start another one and they banned me. I tried emailing the guy who sent me the chain letter with the site's URL, sent him 5 messages and never got a response. I've tried to discuss this website on various places and I got banned frequently. The site itself was also deleted about 3 days after useless.avi was uncovered, likely because someone contacted the authorities about it. The only proof that normal porn for normalpeople.com ever existed was a few screen caps people took and videos from the site that people saved and uploaded on torrents. Most popular of which being useless.avi, which found its way onto a few gore sites. Wherever you upload them to, all of the videos from normal porn for normalpeople.com get deleted after a while. You know, before I recorded the narration, I honestly thought This was going to be an almost good story that just needed a little bit of polishing, and I will admit that's basically how the first half of the story is. Starts off slightly too casual, and then there's a bit of a lack of brevity. The writing style is a bit choppy throughout the story, to be honest with you. I know it's probably been a long time since this thing was written, but you know, uh, think it could have used some polishing there. Then we get to the second half, which we start describing these other videos, and the transition is slightly awkward. First off, it's kind of funny. It's a let me give you a quote there. I went on a certain image board I frequent to play online show and tell, like I always do with weird shit like this. If you always do something with quote unquote weird shit like this, how often do you find weird shit? And if you found weird shit so much, why, I don't know, maybe could have stand out, but I don't think this could have stood out more than the other weird shit this person thought. And of course, in the beginning, we have the cliche of the author getting curious and just. And then there's this thread which he found the other videos. Even if there's people with quote nothing better to do than to dig through the site, I don't think he's kind of implying that it's this really this somewhat popular-ish thread, which is kind of odd. I don't think it doesn't quite say when this post was made, but for some reason it had enough time to get some attention, which bites itself in the ass later. Then we then here's the last sentence before the description of each of these videos. I'll give brief descriptions of the stranger videos. If you're really eaten up with curiosity, you can try to hunt them down on torrent side. I don't think I don't think this sentence was necessary, or at least the I'll give brief descriptions of the stranger videos. It could have been done a lot better. In fact, it would probably be a lot less choppy if it was just taken out of the story to begin with. Most of the descriptions start off, well, at least the plurality, barely a majority of these descriptions of these videos start off well enough. I guess it's a little awkward that some of these descriptions start with, and I quote, 4-minute video, 10-minute video, 5-minute long video. Guess that's a little bit awkward. Let's try to get to the more major stuff. Let's see. Yes. Jessica.avi. It starts off well enough, but it seems a little too inexplicable that no one has been able to identify where the street could be. In fact, nobody has any clue what nation it could be. I mean, a resident might not resident being interviewed might not necessarily match the majority ethnicity of said country, but there has to be some sort of. I mean, if it's zooming in on the city streets, I don't know. It doesn't really. It seems very off to me. I mean, everywhere from Europe to Australia to the Philippines, it's like no one, even with some sort of geographical or anthropological knowledge, can at least narrow it down to region. I mean, of course, nobody's going to be able to identify the exact street, but really, Europe to Australia to the Philippines, that's kind of a wide range, if you ask me. What else? Useless.avi isn't really the worst part of the story. I think it's the little bits after useless.avi that I think really took the cake. It's like all of a sudden everything was cut off. Um, not only was this one thread this guy found deleted, he keeps getting banned from website to website to website. Seemingly for no apparent reason other than some sort of almost unrealistically swift cover up, you know? I mean, would they really get banned frequently just from talking about this one site? And, um, the part about the site being deleted 3 days after after quote useless.avi was uncovered, I guess that kind of cuts off its connection with the real life website, um, especially about the quote unquote only proof. If the only proof was just a few screen caps, why would. Then again, it does say that people saved it and uploaded on torrents. Um, then on the last sentence, and I quote, wherever you upload them to, all the videos from normal porn for normalpeople.com get deleted after a while. And then it just cuts off. Do I think this is a bad story? I'd say more it's somewhere. It's definitely a flawed story. Not necessarily as nonsensical as the other pastas that I feature on this show, but it's definitely not the best either. It's just a somewhat mediocre story that just happens to be popular, to be honest with you. If you want to go ahead and discuss your thoughts on today's story, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. On one final note before I sign out, thank you so much for 91 subscribers. We are so close to the triple digit mark, and I'm honestly a bit, I guess, while I may not sound that excited, I guess when I do think about it, it's definitely a bit pretty exciting for me, and thank you so much. Uh, so close. Okay, next time on Totally Overrated, I'll be narrating the first of two versions of Jane the Killer. And as for my next upload, expect a part two of My Immortal, which I know I abruptly uploaded this because crappypasta.com was under construction for a little while, but although its debut may have been a bit forced, I would suggest at least reading the story, if not listening to my narration, because I know it's been narrated a bunch of times, but the other narrations are not only old, but very incomplete, and I plan on reading all 44 chapters of its hilarious naked glory. This is Gothcat signing out. Thank you and goodbye.